Welcome to Abode with After, the podcast where we step inside real homes and uncover the stories behind the renovations. I'm your host and interior designer Ashley, and I'm speaking with homeowners and industry experts about what it really takes to transform a house. Hi and welcome back to the Abode with After podcast. Today I'm joined with Pamela and Ross Cunningham. No secret to the construction world, but today we're going to get into the stories of their own renovations. So I'll pass it over. Take us to the very start of your first property project renovation. Will I go?
You kick it off, I'll include the important stuff.
When we started like our sort of renovations, it was never a plan. You know, we kind of rented at first, didn't we? And then you kind of think, well, this isn't really value for money. So then we were gifted money from Ross's family, and then we bought our first house. But naturally, just when you're trying to buy your first house, like you buy something kind of like low value, and you know, at that time I was like, Ross would be able to do it, like, you know, we've got that skill set there. And then I fell pregnant, and it was like, you know, pregnant, trying to decorate rooms, and then there's a nursery, and then it's like all of a sudden
the bathroom's not suitable.
The bathroom. So it was like weeks before Christmas, and I remember I posted that, so I was looking at the videos not so long ago, and I was like, got my first Roscoe bathroom, because it was RC tiling at the time on it.
Yeah.
And do you know, it's things like that, like, because obviously Ross had done lots of other people's bathroom projects. At that time, Ross was doing full bathroom renovations rather than just the tiling. And I used to get so jealous of all the gorgeous bathrooms, and then we had like a disabled bathroom in our house, and I was just like, this isn't fair, and I'm pregnant.
It was an old flat, and the bathroom at the time wasn't even big enough for a bath.
Right. So was that the worst house on the street kind of buy? No. Or was it just what you could
No,
get?
somebody had gave it a go and did up the bathroom, probably on a budget, so
right.
There was a small 1200 shower in the middle of the room, a basin here and a toilet up the end. When I measured up for a bath, it couldn't even fit in the room.
Yeah.
So I had to take it down a wall and stuff, and that's kind of my reputation with the family now. Every house I went in, I've taken down a wall.
So when that was your first renovation, what year was that done in?
2016.
And what was your kind of time scale? Did you have a time scale being pregnant, or was it rushed to get it finished?
It was definitely a rush, because, you know, we went in, and I think when I look back now, that was Ross loves to rip things out, believe it or not. He doesn't like to put things back together again.
Everybody likes to rip things out.
So we go into we went into that house, and, you know, it was all the carpets, everything were all ripped up. The bedrooms obviously needed decorated, and then all of a sudden it was like a little bit in this room and a little bit in that room, and it was just really overwhelming. Obviously with the fact with a baby on the way as well. And then I remember when we moved in as well, we thought that house was in like walk-in condition, which from like from a buying perspective, I remember looking at it, and we went and viewed it, and it was just perfect, and I was like, this is just perfect, it's walk-in condition. And then the person takes all their stuff away, and there was like a big hole in the carpet and all that, and I was like,
because I was painting the room, I rolled the carpet up at the road, and as I rolled the carpet up, there was just this wee square left in the middle. I was like, why is there a square? Where'd that come from? So I looked at the carpet, and there was a square cut out it. Obviously
must have had a bit of furniture placed over that when you went in to view it.
But we are obviously 4 projects down the line now, and I paint everything. Like, I don't, like, I just think paint goes a long way, right? But I remember in that project, like, I just couldn't sit at peace. And again, I just felt like Ross was working all the time as well, so it's hard to try and make that time. And we were painting our bedroom like a really dark navy blue, and he came in and I had painted it, and it was just like all over the place. But I mean, trust the process. But I remember he got so annoyed, and he was like, go home, like leave and go home. So I think from that point in 2016 to now, Ross comes home, and I've usually painted a new room, and he's like, good job.
Paint's come on a long way, to be fair.
Yeah.
The cutting in was shocking back in the day.
Yeah.
Paint's a hard one though, because I'm painting a lot of my renovation myself, and you kind of, it starts off really like, right, I'm ready to paint, but when you're taking on too much at one time, I eventually started to feel like, oh, I need to, especially because I wasn't living in the property when I was doing it, so having to go down, and then it's just to tidy up more of anything else, but it's fun just doing the wall and the cutting in.
And I think sometimes with the painting as well, like, getting it done and it looks good and it's fresh, but what I've learned is it's actually the wear and tear of that, because like I say, I paint stairs, handrails, you name it, if I don't like it, I just put a coat of paint on it. Whereas in an ideal world, it would all get sanded and it would get primed and whatever, but I don't learn that lesson until it's like, this black handrail has got like white chips in it, and I'm like, Ross has asked me, did you prime it? Yeah. It doesn't look like it's been primed.
You didn't know there was a wood paint up until what, a year ago or something? Just painted it up in emulsion.
Yeah.
So on that first property you stayed in, how long was your renovation there, and how long did you stay there for?
We actually decided to leave for other reasons, to be fair, but that showed us what it, like, I suppose the revenue in flipping a property.
Yeah. And so when you were doing that, did you know about flipping? Was that your intention, or was it just when you went to sell you were like, right, you're onto something here?
I don't think it, even up until now, probably the last one was more intentional than anything. But at that point it was just, we've made some extra money, that's good. We can move it again. And
especially when you see how, like, so we'd maybe only been in there like a year or so, over a year. And like I said, it just wasn't really area just wasn't really working for us, and we had to leave. But then when we realised how much money we made on it in such a short period of time, and again, Zoopla is fantastic because you can see how much the other person made on it for a longer period of time, and it was comparable. And I just thought, well, we could stay here for 6 years, you know, and make 10 grand,
yeah,
or
just
we could
like
stay
the
for a
way it
year.
appreciates anyway.
But I think, you know, for us, because we go into properties and we often do the kitchen and the bathroom, because that's where Ross's expertise sat, then it's just it increases the value immediately.
So where did you go after that? What was that when you were like, right, maybe we could just flip some houses but live in them as well?
So after that, I had this, I don't know if you'll forgot about this actually, I had this amazing idea that we would just build a house.
Right, okay.
Thought, well, Ross could do the kitchen and all that, so let's just
build it.
Let's just build a house. So I started looking at all these like mortgages, of like sort of like developing mortgages and stuff like that, and I just thought this is going to work. So I spoke to my mum and I was like, if we can move back in with you, and my little girl was just a baby at the time, so our little girl was just a baby at the time, and that's because you were working all the time, it was just me and stuff, and
we'll make that call.
I was like, Ross only comes in at night anyway and he's right back at the morning, so we can just move in with you. And she was just like, that's fine. So we were with my mum for a couple of months. And I realised that I'd actually went to a new build. I realised that building and getting the land and all that would be too hard. So I actually went to a new build developer, and I sat there and I was like this house type, but I don't want it with a bathroom or kitchen. Right. And he went, yeah, but they come with bathrooms and kitchens. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want a bathroom or kitchen. I says, because I tell you, I'll just rip it out anyway, because my husband will do it. And he was like, but it won't pass building.
Kind of good
yeah, it won't be livable.
Right. And I was just like, all right, okay, well, that's not going to work. So I was like, back to the drawing board with that one.
I found that builder, it's just like, who is this?
But those are the types of phone calls that Ross would get at work. I'd be like, right, well, I've went and spoke, it was David Wilson was the house builder in it.
I remember it now.
I was like, I went and spoke to them, and he was just like, oh God, Pamela. So then after that, we were looking all the time at just different properties, and
I was just adamant I wanted a bungalow, because I know you can
do a lot to a bungalow. Bungalows seem to be like and usually bungalows as well, they've not been renovated for a long time because of who's living in them now, and then they get sold for that reason. So
up came the bungalow.
Right.
We found a bungalow.
You got the bungalow. Was this property too?
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember showing Ross, and he was just like, put an offer on it now. No, Ross is not like that. He's not wired that way. Like Ross likes to think and then think again and then think again. So we went to view it, and I was a bit like, oh, it smelled, and it had a slant, didn't it? See, when you walked in, you kind of walked up and down a hill in the hallway.
Oh yeah.
Get a spirit level out.
I remember walking through all the rooms, just going up and down. I was like, I'm really not sure about this, Ross. And the garden was huge, and it was like not maintained. The hedges were wild, and I was just a bit like,
But it was a bungalow.
And Ross was like, we can extend it. We can do this to it, we'll do that to it.
Yep,
all that. And then we moved in. We stripped it out. We knocked a wall down.
No, it was before that point, before the wall came down. We realised it was a prefab.
Right, okay.
And you couldn't do anything, nothing to it.
Did they not say anything about that when you went to get your mortgage?
I was probably just naive and
Yeah.
never seen it on the home report.
Because I went to view a prefab last year and maybe as a flip, but it was like you had to buy it cash because you couldn't. But that might be, I don't know if it's a new thing.
It wasn't a thing when we bought the house, but when we sold it again,
Yeah, it's for whoever the buyer
it was
is.
becoming an issue, and that's when we were like, well, what's going on here? But you know that when we at that point in time we had architects in, but then they wanted, who did they want? Some sort of structural engineer, but then they wanted architects. It was like a chicken and egg, and we couldn't get anybody to take responsibility or to want to help us with the project.
I remember it was Stuart, obviously I was quite close with an architect then. He was like, oh, you could have a tunnel coming for your house because of the building. He's a tunnel down to a pod and that could be another living space. I was like,
See when he came home with that and he was like, look, that's like a tunnel outside, and I was just like,
a pod in the back garden.
Absolutely not.
You stayed in the pod because the prefab's not safe.
But by this time, baby number 2 is coming along.
Right.
So that was a surprise.
Yeah, in the bungalow.
In the bungalow. And also, so picture this, right? We've got a 2-year-old, if that. We've got no flooring. We've got half a kitchen. So we were living with family, and then I remember I phoned Ross. I had a falling out with my family, and I was like, and I packed everything in the car, took my wee girl, and I phoned him, and I said, we've moved in, and he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, we're in, come home tonight. And he was like, Pamela, we don't have a toilet in. And I was like, I don't care, we're in. And so I think, you know, at that point we had like a standard like flushing toilet. We had the bucket for a while.
Well, it was just the bottom half of the toilet with
Right.
no bathroom round about it and a bucket of water
Yeah.
and a baby and
And we had a hole in the floor where you like to go down into the floorboards, because I've got the pictures.
I was playing peekaboo with the rain, so it had the benefit.
They should build that tunnel.
So then baby number 2 is coming along, and I had planned to get Ross a dog for his Christmas.
Right, okay.
With his mum, right? So his mum knew about it, and then I fell pregnant, and I was like to her, I can't go ahead with the dog. She was like, oh no, you'll be fine. And I was just like, I'm in a half-built house. I've got another baby on the way. I've got a baby here and a dog en route. And he knows only half of it at this point. And I was just like, I am way over my head here.
Do you think that's just, if you did bring a dog home, Rose would maybe just be like, that's just Pamela?
Yeah, he's
But accepted it.
So what was the process then? Did you continue to renovate that house? Like to
that was
get
the
it
pressure
livable?
that Ross needed.
Yeah.
To
Also,
continue.
it came to its an advantage.
So we got flooring.
I work better under pressure, we've discovered.
We got it painted lovely, didn't we? We got the kitchen fitted.
Did you
Aye.
paint?
In the end up.
No, we actually got something
did
because I was
you?
pregnant, and I wasn't allowed to paint again.
Oh.
So I wasn't allowed to paint.
Well, I lived up a ladder, aye. In the end up, the wall come down between the kitchen and living room, so with a nice open plan,
Nice.
a big breakfast bar and stuff, and had a media wall, and it turned out really well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Utility room.
Utility room as well.
That took the best part of the time it finished on it.
Did you, so because you didn't know about the prefab till it came to sell, when you were renovating, how did you go about like spending your budget on it? Like, did you think that would have been Forever Home at the time, or were you still going for flipping, so you were putting in nice like finishes, or were you kind of holding back a bit because you knew you were going to sell?
No, I think we've always done up each house like it was ours, and it was going to be ours, and I think that's what's helped sell it in the end.
That is.
I think as well though there is an element of with that house particular, we had big aspirations for it, and then when we knew that wasn't going to work, we did know that it was never going to be a forever house. But then, you know, we were actually talking about this yesterday. We're, you know, considering sort of getting more property, and now that we're sort of settled, and I was saying it's going to be a hard one for me, like trade paint. And Ross is laughing, and he was like, if we do like start to build a portfolio, he's like, you can't start like decorating these houses like it's going to be you living in them now, which we did at that point in time. But like I say, you know, once the bathroom and the kitchen's done, that's what takes most of the budget. And when that, with the bungalow as well, there was the steel beam and there was the planning permission for that, and you took a lot of that
Like
headache.
upfront cost, isn't it? Like, I'm working on the flip at the moment, well, the commercial to residential, and we've just had our building warrant submitted, but that needs structural work. And I'm finding it really hard because I'm used to designing for clients, and for that there's not a brief because you don't know who's going to live in it.
Yeah.
And again, there's that like, how much flair do I get to have here with it being because it's a number cruncher. It's more about what am I going to get back for it.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. Like I feel like I'm lost with it.
Like
So
you don't know how it's for, so you don't know how to design
like
it for
there's not a brief for it, and I've never really designed it without somebody you know on the other end of that, or myself at least.
Yep.
So it's really hard when you don't know who the next person is. But then, like you're saying, you've designed for as if it's just going to be you living in it, and that does work when you go to resale, because you're selling that experience of what the house could be like.
Even in that house, we got it was a very like narrow hallway that we had. And I got really hideous flamingo wallpaper, but I really wanted it, and I remember putting up a
Was it
massive
nice at the
site
time?
together. Yeah, it was nice at the time. It was your mum that came and done it actually. See, it was him. It was
I
you.
don't do wallpaper.
So and I remember at the time, like when we sold it, I didn't even give the wallpaper a second thought.
No.
And then it's not till now, like we drive past the house, the kids will always looking at it and be like, oh, we used to live there. And I always think, oh, poor people. Like, I sold them a house with flamingo wallpaper.
Maybe they liked it though.
No, I don't think that.
No, straight down.
I actually am positive that I went to get post off them a couple months later, and I have a faint memory of being offended that they didn't have the wallpaper.
Oh, really?
Faint memory. Yes.
That's so funny, because when we sold our house last year, we had to go pick up the post, and I had on the chimney breast like a marble mural wallpaper, so it looked like we couldn't afford tiles when we were in there, and they took it down. And I was like, I loved that. Like I would have took it with me. So how long did you stay in the bungalow for then?
Just shy of 3 years.
And it was renovated completely by the time you went to sell it?
Yeah, well, Ross came home and we agreed it was going up for sale, and then
Did we?
Ross came home and it was up for sale.
And you told him it was
Yeah. I got another phone call at work.
And I told him he had like a week to get the curtains on for the pictures.
Right.
Because that's what I mean, like, so wee tiny things. Even now, we've got a list in the house just now, and I'm like, there's a couple of things there that are sitting with like a zero budget to it, and I'm like, because we've either got the stuff here, we just need your time, or it's just, it doesn't need stuff, it just needs you to actually do it.
Yeah.
Would you say you took over more of the project management role in the house is in?
I would say so.
Yeah.
More of the delegator.
Delegator?
No. I like doing the thing.
Sometimes it's easier though to get a job done when you've been told just what to do, because it's that decision making again, like what actually needs done. It's easier to just be able to be like you've got the skill to install, but having Pamela to be like, right, can you do this first and then do that, and it means you can get on with it.
With the bathroom and that project, I remember I was like so excited for it, because the first bathroom, it was like a grey, we were in that grey era, do you know, and it was like grey tiles with like what colour of blue would you say that was?
Blue.
Electric blue, metro tiles up a feature wall, and it was nice. And then by the time we got into the bungalow, I was like, you know, I'm away from grey.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have like a sort of beige bathroom. What would you say the floor tile was? What kind of pattern again?
Antique patchwork.
Right, okay.
You good at this? So we had that, and it was just like nice beige wall tiles. But we were talking about it the other day, and I was like, there was something about those tiles that you just couldn't get with. Like you used to say, there was a pattern or something off in it, and you just hated it.
There was a couple of repeats in the pattern, and just because it was such a small floor, I couldn't get away with it, so they were sitting next to each other and I couldn't spread them out, so every time I was in.
Is that something that only you would notice as a tiler? Or is it something that other people would notice?
It's something that only he would notice as Ross.
Nothing to do with being a tiler.
Pattern recognition. So yeah, the bathroom, that I absolutely loved it, but you know, there's a common theme of the first two projects of ours where there's like a picture of me in the bath with my bump, and there's just, what's that called, gyp rock? There's just gyp rock everywhere. Enjoying a bath in peace.
So when did you then, let's move on to the third property then.
Yeah.
So how did the sale go of the bungalow? Like, that process first?
It was after COVID,
Right,
which
okay.
I think is why, I mean, we really love memories of the bungalow, because when COVID, Ross was home. So it was just the four of us and the dog, and it was just really nice actually.
So
and
you got the dog?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got the dog. So, you know, it was just the four of us, and it was really lovely. But then again, you outgrow it. And then there was an element of, after COVID, all the prices went up, and we were a bit like, you know, we need to be strategic here. We know we're not going to live here forever. We know that we can't extend it the way that we want to. We also know that from where it was to where it is now, and then to where we, you know, the sort of next level of renovating it, it's going to invest, like, we're going to need a lot of money to invest, like the garden and the exterior, even like painting the external windows, like the sort of framing around
like
the windows.
curb appeal.
So, you know, it was like, we're either going to have to invest all this money or we could, you know, flip it.
Yeah.
So we decided that we were going to sell the house. And then by that point, you know, I was so over estate agents. Like, you know, I was like, I'm doing it myself. Like, I just need to pay somebody to put it on Rightmove and stuff, and to get all that home report thing done, and then I'll just sell the rest of it myself.
I think I was there for the first viewing and I said something wrong and I got banished.
What was it?
The bungalow was, honestly, you'll die. The bungalow was so busy, like with interest, because it was, you know, post-COVID.
I remember what I said.
And like I said, this garden was huge, but it was very, like, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing at all, but we kept it tidy.
Yeah.
And I remember we had this young builder come by and he was like, oh, I want to be doing this and I want to be doing that to it. And I thought, I'm not saying anything because...
Let him dream.
Yeah, absolutely. But then he was a builder. He might have, you know, he might have strings to pull.
Yeah.
Ross literally walked through the back gate, right? And he was like, yep, next for us is going to be the garden, but this place is a total money pit.
Turns out you're not supposed to say that when you try to sell your house.
Not to a builder.
Safe to say, I never heard of the builder ever again. I was just like, why did you say that? We get in the house, I was like, don't ever come to another viewing ever again.
That's so funny. Stuck one in there.
Yeah.
Then he should have went in and pointed out about the tile that was that wasn't quite right. Have you seen that down there, by the way? So what was the next one that you bought? What was, because the bungalow was your dream, but then it turned out not to be. So what were you looking for after that?
We agreed at that point we would take a step backwards house-wise.
Okay.
And we then looked at an ex-council house,
Right,
kind of
okay.
terraced house, but it had 3 rooms.
Yeah.
Because at that point, we're 2 kids, we're sharing the 1 room.
Yeah. But then that's where you can save your money and put like more into it. Like my last house there that I just sold was then terrace council house. And actually in terms of space that you get for your like front gardens, people don't get front gardens anymore. Back gardens, drives and all that. And then like there's potential in it because the rooms are bigger.
Yeah.
And again, going back to you were raising a family there. So you then had to consider like young family, yourselves, as much as what can you make from it in terms of profit.
No.
So what was the agenda when you got into the terraced ex-council?
This was another one of Ross's finds. You found it off market. Because this was the village that Ross and I grew up in.
Right, okay.
So it was, you know, there was an element there where we were maybe a bit worried about kind of going back. But then I remember I was having a conversation and being like, you know, we have this kind of dream of like a new build, sort of family house, but, you know, we need to be clever here. Let's go back this house. We could renovate it, you know, make a bit of money on it. Plus, you know, at the time we'd kind of planned to be in a catchment area for the school we wanted the kids to go to, so it just made a lot of sense. But again, we got in, I want to say the end of October, November time.
There was another mad rush because Christmas was coming up and I had a full house to renovate this time, not just a bathroom.
But this house was dirty. Like, it was filthy. It was so dirty, it was unbelievable.
And this was off market as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it was off market until the estate agent found out that the guy wanted to sell it to us. Again, it's a small village, so we all knew each other. So then the estate agent absolutely hated us. Me, actually. He hated me because I was like, tell your estate agent you're not putting it on. Anyway, we got the house and we moved in, and again, by this point, I'm getting it painted. I was studying, so at post-COVID, you know, we'd done a lot of it online. So I would put the kids into nursery, and then I was logging into the college lectures online and just keep my camera off, and I was painting. So we had the kids sharing a room. Again, they're 2 years apart, but they were young then, so we had them sharing a room to sleep in, but then we were giving them a playroom.
Right, okay.
So that was the way that we did that. So this was when I started the whole picture reel, didn't I? See all the panelling. This was my panelling era.
Panelling was an era.
So upstairs was all the, is it picture rail up top, the top bit?
Dodo.
Dodo, is that right? Dado. So we had all that all the way up top. but then there was like a shortage of wood at the time, and I was just not chuffed about it. Remember, we got that big delivery of all the panelling, and then the guy...
It wasn't coming, so you cancelled it, and then it turned up in the truck like a day later, and I had to tell the guy to take it away.
Yeah, so we had all that, like, the lead up to Christmas, and I can remember Ross had, like, a really busy diary, like, Ross before Christmas is just non-existent. So you can remember coming into the house at, like, 10 o'clock at night. We'd be living with my mum at this point, so I could leave the kids in bed and go to the house and do painting. And I remember coming in and being like, I've cancelled all my work before Christmas. Like, I'm going to get the house done. Yeah. And I was like, right, okay. So all downstairs get tiled. There was loads of panelling. It was gorgeous. Lovely bathroom.
So that one got renovated a bit quicker because obviously you decided to invest the time into it, and a bit of sacrifice though, obviously having to give up some jobs as well.
Aye, and I left out a lot of small things. I'm well known for that as well.
See, when you're doing like your renovation of your own home, are you bringing in some of your trades team to help you, or are you trying to manage a lot of it on your own?
That particular house, I had some friends and stuff come in, but most of the time I'd rather just do it myself.
Yeah.
Trades don't help their pals.
No.
So you would be better than me phoning a trade and trying to get somebody, the complete stranger, than Ross asking one of his pals at the time for help. There was, like I say, there was a couple that did come in and help, and, you know, you need to give them credit for it. But the reality is that there's just so much demand on trades that they can't even deal with the work that they're getting paid for.
Yeah.
And even when you say to one of your pals, don't want a discount, I'll pay you for it. Like, you never want to charge them a proper rate. Yeah. So you'll always pick the other projects, especially in the lead up to Christmas.
Yeah. It's just the time of year as well.
My friends, you always go to the bottom of the list. I'll get there, I'll get there.
No, it's true. What? So how long that renovation was sped up? Did you stay there for quite a while? And again, was this one you weren't planning to stay in? You knew it was going to be a flat?
Yeah.
And again, with it being ex-council, like, you get a rough idea as to how much money you could make on it. So
we were there about 18 months, that one?
No, we were there about 2-3 years again.
Was it?
I believe so, yeah.
So how did you know that it was going to be time to sell again? Like, what is it in you that says, right, it's time to go?
Do you know, with that one, actually, it was more the environment. Like, you know, like I said, I'd kind of highlighted already, kind of going back to the village that we both grew up in. Like, we would have probably loved to have stayed in that house a little bit longer, just because we did put so much effort into renovating it. And, you know, I think it was probably the only project where I had like a really high like expectation that like I said, Ross booked all that time off work and just got the head down and get it all done. So by Christmas, I remember us just having this lovely finished house, and it was just really nice. So, I mean, if you think about the first two projects, well, the first house again was just a lot of kind of surface level, you know, uplift, whereas when it comes to the second house, I feel like we spent a longer period of that time just trying to get things done. We didn't spend enough time enjoying it.
Yeah.
Whereas the last sort of house that we flipped, I would say we spent most of the time just really enjoying it because we got the flip done really quickly.
Yeah.
That must have been 5 weeks at most.
Yeah. Which would have been a different experience then to the first ones that you got done, just having that time to like nail through it. I'm sure Pamela was like, that's today, that tomorrow.
And I think it was nice as well, like I say, so there's
and Ross being home as well for that.
Just having that like daytime availability. But then when we did move into it, it was one of those like moments where the kids are kind of moving out from my mum's house, and then they go into their bedroom, and then they see that they've got their bed and they've got their duvets all set up, and they had like a proper wee like first night in the house. Whereas obviously when they're babies before, like they never really got to experience any of that.
So seeing the like for the bungalow, because then they would have been like nearly 2 and baby, so by the time you went into the ex-council, they were kind of at an age where they got to experience it as well.
Yeah, it was 2 and 4, so.
Yeah. And were they around, like, do they remember you renovating that house?
No.
Or would they have been too young then?
No, and especially with that renovation, like I said, they would be at my mum's a lot of the time, so they didn't really get to see much of it. Whereas, like I say, we've got loads of pictures of Sophia Rose and the first bungalow, like... and concrete floors and half-done kitchens, and you know, she's poking her head down the floorboards to try and find you. Like.
Yeah. So was the dog and all that thing.
So what was the next one after that? So that one was for flipping. are you thinking about forever home yet?
We're very settled in the house that we're in now, but that was a period where we were like, it's time. Like the kids were settling for school, so you kind of need to pick somewhere.
Yeah, so what you're in now, is that where you've moved to from the ex-council then? And this is like staying put. So when you put the ex-council up for market, you were then looking at, right, not for still renovate to your standards, but not for resale now.
Looking for a newer house this time. But when I say new, like within 20 years, a new build.
Yeah.
I think you went to East Kilbride, didn't you? For a Cala? No, not a Cala.
Miller.
A Miller. And just the price of them was, for what you get, is eye-watering.
Yeah.
The rooms are so small. Even just coming from an ex-council house, the room comparison's shocking.
Yeah. Well, you would have found that as well because you had spent so many, like the 3 years in the ex-council and then going into, you know, a new build. I find as well that they're a lot more pokier because they give you more rooms, but then they're smaller. So that's more of a lifestyle thing though. Like, would that suit your life, or would you prefer bigger, like social family rooms from it?
I think we're definitely more with the family rooms, and I think when we looked at the sort of Miller houses, and I say we, but you weren't in there.
How does it work?
It was me, and I accepted that we were going to have a kitchen this time, but I did say to her, I was like,
accepted.
I was like, you're going to need to give me, I said to her, this time I don't want you to tile it.
Yeah.
And she was like, we need to tile it. And I said, well, can you give us extra tiles, because he's just going to come in and finish it. And then usually what we experience as well with the tiling business with sort of new build houses is when you go and finish it, the batch number from Porcelain, they all buy their tiles from Porcelanosa, it changes, so you get like a variation.
Yeah.
So you're only tile my bathroom half height. Like, I
Then
want
the next pack will be different, yeah.
So she was like, oh, right, we can sort of set more tiles aside for you. And I thought, right, okay, I'll deal with that. So we'd kind of put like reserved a plot, and then Ross was in tiling what that specific house type. And he was just like, this isn't great.
Was that on the same development or a different development?
It's the same house builder, but a different
development.
And we're a bit like, this isn't going to work for us.
Right.
So I just said, you know what, let's keep the reservation where it is, but I'm just going to go back to the market and see what's out there. So where we were was kind of, you know, it's south side, and then we'd probably have to travel like the best part is 25 minutes to get to Skilbride. So then I had kind of went 25 minutes the other way and found something just a little bit further out. And actually the woman had an offer fall through already. So she had already, committed to another property.
Yeah.
So it was a really good position for us to be like, well, you know, we're not going to go too far over the asking price. We've already got a buyer. You've been let down. Like, we're ready to take it.
Yeah, like everything just kind of aligned.
Yeah, but, you know, I remember us kind of being in that house and it just felt perfect. Like, where we live now is very family oriented. And I remember us like in my little girl's room, and it's her room now, and we were looking out the window, and I was like, could we move the kids like this far down the motorway? And Ross was just like, yeah, I think we could. And then we kind of did like a wee drive round the estate and stuff like that.
It was only 20 minutes, so we used to
But they'll not know any different because they're so young that they've not lived anywhere else like for a long period of time that it's going to be different for them.
But I think as well, you know, now that we are almost 4 years in our like family home, when I look back, putting an offer into the house that we're in now in comparison to the new build Miller home, we saved ourselves £100,000 and we've got a much bigger house because of it.
It's a new build, but it's maybe 20-year-old, so
so the room sizes are better.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 bedrooms. Our bedroom's got a bay window, and then the 2 kids' bedrooms are virtually the same size.
So it's fair on them as well. It's not like the one kid who's getting the box room.
And then we've got a box room, and then they've had the garage converted.
Right. Was that already done by the previous ones?
Which is now an office. And then there's a conservatory as well, which we use as a dining room. So kind of to go back to your question, like we definitely appreciate the sort of social aspect of having everybody together. And having said that, though, I'm going to be very transparent. I do have an all-white living room that the kids are not supposed to be in. They do come in it, but they get searched before they come in. It was like, turn round.
I couldn't believe Miles when we got there. She's like, I'm going to have 2 living rooms. I went, what?
So in the kitchen, the kids have got like a navy blue couch where they can sit and watch TV when they're eating their dinner or whatever. And then, he came home one day and I was like, right, I've got 2 new couches coming in 4 weeks. And he was just like, how much was that? It was like $3,500 or something. And he was like, on couches? Why would you spend that? And I was like, they're really nice. But you'll love this as well, because usually on your social media, like I always think you and Ross are very like aligned in how you think, like spatially. Yeah. So I'm not great at measuring things, but I measured the couch so it's a navy corner couch for the kitchen space, and I measured it, and it was going to be really like, because explain the thing in the kitchen.
Yeah, they've taken a wall down before we got there, so there's like the pillars at the side.
Yeah. So it kind of separates like the actual kitchen to this wee space, and it fit in there really nice and snug, and then it came and it didn't fit in it, and I just thought that looks totally fine, and Ross came home and I tell you, didn't speak to me for about 3 days because it didn't fit in it perfectly.
It butts against it, and the couch's about a foot away from the wall. There's just a space for the kids' side. That's
just one of those things that just Ross
put a nice plant in there, a tall lamp, and you make it look like it's been done on purpose. Is that couch still there?
Yep.
But not for long, because I really want an island.
So that's the next one.
But then again, it's that social space. Like the kids are all like, we are getting to a sort of age.
Kids like sitting doing homework. You want to be like, I find as well now, like people they like the open plan living space, because then you can like do your stuff in the kitchen but watch them at the same time. And I suppose for you it's to keep them out the other living room.
I do like the idea of I don't know, I like the idea of having that island space. I mean, I think we would like to extend the house. I think it would add a lot of value to it. And like I say, we're really happy there, so we don't have any sort of plans to sell it. So I think, there's a very sort of small driveway space. And I think if one side of the house get the bay windows, so I think if we were to even that out and do both sides, I think it would be really beautiful. But then that would just increase all of our like sort of living space downstairs, and we could maybe change some of that up. So I think that would be the sort of long-term plan for this house.
I think what like is coming across now is yes, you're thinking of resale value, but you're more thinking of just the Perries and your kids as well. And it's that family living that's a priority now, and like you spend a lot of time at home. So how to make that house support your needs. And that's a big thing that we talk about with clients in design as well.
I think as well, when your kids, they kind of go from that toddler stage, and I explained in our sort of second renovation we had the playroom, and it was brilliant because sometimes you could just shut the door in the playroom. And we used to I struggled to shut the door in the playroom. I used to be in there cleaning it all the time, but it was just nice to have the kids to have that separate space when they were so young. And because they had shared the room before, they actually liked to sleep together. Whereas when we moved into the family house, I thought, we're not doing the playroom thing again. Like, they'll have their own separate rooms, they can do with them as they will. But now it's like all they kind of ask, and they're like, oh, we never have a playroom. And I'm like, you're 9. Like, you should be locking us out. You should be slamming your door and wanting to be in your room in peace. But I do think I'd kind of like to have a space that's kind of communal, that they could maybe have their friends in and stuff. I think we're kind of trying to plan for that.
For their next stage of life as well as your own in there.
Yeah.
The neighbours get one of them, haven't they? A communal space where the kids hang out.
You should go in. I hear another girl that was on my podcast says that when she renovated, Abdu was just tapping her door and asking if they could see her.
Oh, really?
And I remember years ago, we got a loft conversion done, like in my family home, and my mum sent me up to the top of the street to look at their loft conversion because it was going to be my bedroom. So it must be like a really common thing. So I'm just going to ask them, see if we can see what they've get Pamela to go around.
I know, I'm playing that in my head. I'm like, I don't know how well received that would be, but give it back.
I think it's a thing. Amazing. So what's next on the cards for you? You're in your forever home, but is there any more property or renovating stories we're going to hear?
We're looking to kind of do it as a business now.
Okay.
So we're actually putting numbers and stuff together and see what we can pick up and actually start doing it on the side rather. So we'll keep our family house. We'll keep that for us, and then we'll see if we can start
Yeah.
getting a wee portfolio together. Nothing crazy. We don't want to be tycoons or anything. But just
So they'll say the start.
Got other plans.
Pamela's in charge. So is that more of a flipping basis? Is that what you seem to like, or are you thinking more of the kind of buy-to-lets? Or
We are kind of mulling it over, to be fair, because, you know, obviously buy-to-let I think is quite challenging. I follow a lot of different people now that are in property, and you just hear a lot of the same tune, really. So I think long term it would be good to have a buy-to-let, because it just means that, you know, when we're older you kind of got that sort of asset there to fall back on. But I also think that our skills are kind of more aligned to flipping. So we would just be kind of trying to keep an eye on properties that are available that we think would be in a good area for let, but then also some off-market properties. You know, we're both very fortunate. We've kind of met a lot of people in the property space recently, you know, that do different things, whether it be sort of investing or sourcing. So we're just going to try and kind of plug into our network just now, and like I say, just use our skill set that we've got and just see what comes up. And then, you know, once we get a property into a good place, and I mean, even buying property as a business is new to us, because we've bought it to live in, and we've kind of, you know, we've renovated through life and moved for various reasons.
Yeah, like rather than for a deadline or right time to remortgage us and sell.
And I'll really need to come to grasps with trade paint.
trade tiles as well, that'll be nice.
B&Q for tiles.
Different if you're flipping though, because then you're adding the value. It's the rental's a bit different, because you need things that are easier to replace, and paint that's, you know, you can get from the shop that day or something, whereas flipping's a bit different, because once you sell it, it's, you know, you move on to the next one. Amazing. So I think that is everything. What I'll try and do, because I'd love to see some photos of these renovations,
I've got lots.
We'll try and get some of these photos from you, and we'll share that on the Instagram page before the release of it. But no, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on and hear more of your personal stories as well, and in the renovation world. It's not all just business. And I wish you all the best in your future ventures.
Thank you for having us.
Amazing. And once again, this podcast is proudly sponsored by the Garage Conversion Company. We'll see you in the next one.